Anti-Semitism.
Okay.
Do you personally believe there's a rise in that? If so, maybe why do you think so?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think there's a rise in it, fine.
Yeah.
But also just general thoughts on it.
It's a good question. I mean, there is statistically a rise in anti-Semitism, and people are definitely more emboldened. I don't know if anti-Semitic sentiment is rising as much as the expression of the sentiment is rising. In other words, I don't know if, in other words, if there's an increasing amount of people that are having anti-Semitic feelings that didn't have before. I just think that those people which had those feelings are now feeling more emboldened to express it. And there could be a lot of different societal reasons for that, but I'm not a sociologist. I'm not going to get into why I think it's rising. For me, what's important is what's a Jew's response to anti-Semitism. And that is what the Rabbi always told us, which is to respond to darkness with more light.
Yeah.
And light means education, light means Jewish pride, light means being committed to who we are, to our identity. And so if I ever encounter anti-Semitism, the response is always education and pride. And that's how to bring more light to the world. If you would hope that if you sit down with someone who would be willing to listen to you, as they get to know you as a person, as they get to know your beliefs, you earn their respect. And maybe that's just one way to combat anti-Semitism on a personal level. Ultimately, it's difficult to reach individuals in that way, but things like this, shows like this, conversations like this, where people learn more about Judaism is an important step.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't like to respond to anti-Semitism with wailing and woe is me and what are we going to do? This is an existential crisis, because fear doesn't, if your children or if your congregation or the people that are in your community feel that anti-Semitism is something to run from, or that this is like a crisis, then who wants to be part of a people in crisis? Who wants to be part of a depressing faith which is always on the run? People want, if you inspire confidence by saying we're going to fight darkness with light, that this is just an opportunity for us to educate, this opportunity for us to express our own Jewish pride. That's what people I want to be part of.
Yeah. So,
of course, anti-Semitism should be addressed on a political level or on a societal level, and that's for politicians, or it's for lawmakers, let's say. But the job of each one of us as individuals is to be a beacon of light in our own way, through education, through expressing our own Jewish pride, through doing tefillin and answering questions. And that's what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the Jewish stereotypes that exist, they're probably always going to exist.
Right.
That's hard to do away with those. The frugal, the money, the big nose, things like that. Whatever it is, whatever you have your stereotype ingrained in about Jewish people. But if you happen to know a Jewish person or meet a Jewish person and they're proud of where they come from and their heritage and their religion and what they stand for, I think you're less likely to then just go and randomly make fun of them.
Right.
Unless it's banter or a comedian, right? Some of those things have their place, obviously, right? Because comedians make fun of everyone. I think their truth is very important. But if you're just being super cruel to be cruel, then that's a personal reflection on you, and needs to be much more to be done to change the way you view yourself and the world. But if you're just randomly making these sort of little jab stereotypes, they still hurt. I've been getting on my whole life because I have a big nose and big ears, which I'm very proud of. But when I talk to people and meet people and they know that I'm Jewish, it just sort of, it goes away because they're like, oh, this guy's just he's proud of where he comes from and who he is, and so it just goes to what you're saying.
It's usually, anti-Semitism usually is a reflection more of the hater than the hated.
Oh, of course, always. When people comment,
his own insecurities or own
people comment on this podcast, they don't like it, they don't agree.
Yeah,
it's totally fine. You can definitely say it in a normal way, but then I get it. I have empathy for that situation because you might be going through something that I know nothing about, and it's difficult to view that through a social media lens or just on a comment. But you try to be that sort of energy in the world that you can be.
Yeah.